Westminster Abbey. This is BlueBrixx set 106806. It was released in October 2023 for about €80. This construction block set consists of 2,347 bricks, which are compatible to pieces by other construction blocks companies like Lego, Kobe, Mega, Fantasy, and so on. This set here was designed by BlueBrixx designer Anton. I already showed you a lot of architecture sets by him and also several of his churches, for example the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, Mainz Cathedral or Ulm Minster. This time we get to build another church, London's Westminster Abbey. I think this is one of the most famous churches in Great Britain, and it's not only famous because of the lot of dead English monarchs inside this building. Alright, this is a BlueBrixx special set, so we don't get any fancy box design, only this quite boring box here. It's not very colorful, but I don't really mind. Important is what's inside this box, and this is what we are going to have a look at now. Inside the box we find the bricks inside unnumbered bags. This is a BlueBrixx special set, so that means we don't get building sections. The bricks are not pre-sorted. You can see that some of the bags only contain pieces by one type, but most of the bags come with a mixture of bricks of several types. I recommend to open all the bags and sort all the pieces by type before you start with the build. This will take quite a lot of time in the beginning, but it will save you even more time during the building process, because you don't have to search endlessly for an individual brick at each building step. Another thing about the BlueBrixx special sets is that we don't get printed building instructions. We have to download a PDF file from the BlueBrixx website. I already have done this, and this means I can start immediately with step 1 after I have sorted all my bricks. I will come back to you as soon as I see something interesting or something doesn't work as intended in the building instructions. I'm already coming back to you even though I haven't started with the build yet, because during the process of sorting all the bricks I noticed that BlueBrixx uses for this set here quite a few bricks which are still protected by Lego. So we got these 1x1 by 1/2 brick modifieds with studs on the sides, or with studs on this one side. Those are still protected. Then we got these 1x1 brick modifieds with studs on sides which are next to each other, still protected. And then we got these 1x2 brackets which are still protected. And here's the inverted version of the same bracket, still protected. These 1x1 round plates here are quite famous for being protected. They come with open stud. The 1x1 round plates with closed stud are not protected any longer, but these with open stud are still protected. And yeah, it's quite strange that it's even possible that these things are protected when they are so close to the ones without open stud. But they are still protected. Then we got these 1x2 plates with clip here, still protected. 2x2 jumper plates, still protected. This is a 2x2 by 2/3 plate modified with, these two studs here on the side, still protected. A 1x2, 2x2 inverted bracket, still protected. This is a 1x2 brick modified with two open studs on the side, still protected. Then we got these, these 2x1 by 2/3 curved slopes, which are still protected. And finally, these 1x2 by 1/2 brick modifieds are also still protected. It's always strange how BlueBrixx manages to use all these protected pieces without getting into trouble with Lego. Very strange. Maybe they have some kind of deal which we don't know about. Otherwise, I don't know how they can manage to use all these pieces. Well, but I can buy these sets legally in Europe, so it's not my problem. It's the problem of BlueBrixx and Lego. Now I'm going to start with step 1, and I will come back to you as soon as I see something interesting or something doesn't work as intended. Step 28. In this step we need to place two of those 1x1 brick modifieds. And as you can see, we have to put a 1x1 plate on the stud on the side of that brick modified. So you can see here I already have attached the 1x1 plate to the brick modified. And now, according to the instructions, we have to put this whole thing on its side like this. And now we can place it on this little segment here, like this. I have already done this over here, but I think this is an illegal building technique. You can see here we got our stud here, and I think the gap between those two studs isn't big enough to place a whole brick modified in there, or this part here of the brick modified. You can see that I could do it over here, but I have to push quite hard. You can see it's a tiny bit too big. When I push hard enough, it fits in there, but you can see that it also breaks the brick a bit. Here you can see that I have broken the material very slightly. Well, but the instructions want us to do it that way, so I'm going to do it. Et voila. Step 29. In this step we have to use two of these brick modifieds here. And I think it's always hard to see in the instructions if we have to use one of those brick modifieds with a stud on only one side, or if there are studs on opposite sides. When we zoom in a bit, we might see another stud on this side here. So I think we need this brick here with two studs and not just with a stud on only one side. Step 34. In this step, we are using this ironing bead here, or hollow stud, or whatever you want to call it. It's a piece not used by Lego, but we can find it quite often in BlueBrixx and Kobe sets. The technique is normally used to invert the building direction. So, for example, we can place this hollow stud on the underside of this plate here, and then we can go on and simply interlock other pieces on top of this whole thing like this. So you can see that it's an easy way to invert the building direction. In this case here, we want to have a stud at this position here where this hole is, so that we can interlock this plate here to the side of this little segment without any problem. To get this hollow stud inside this hole, we are going to use a little tool, this bar here. We simply stick it in the stud like this, and now we put it in here. Let me place the camera so you can have a better look. Like this. And now I'm going to push down the stud with my fingernail, and at the same time I'm pulling off the bar. Oh, this didn't work. Let me give it another try. Yep, just like this. And now we can simply add this piece to the side. But give me a minute. I think I assembled the segment wrong. No, everything seems to be correct. Yeah, and now we can push this plate on here. Or we should be able to do it. Whoops. But you can see it did work. Yeah, and now I can go on with adding pieces to the side of this little segment. And we are done with step 35. Step 56. For this build we are using a lot of snot techniques, studs not on top. But I want to show you one technique which we use especially often. You can see that we got this little segment here, and on one of the studs of the plate we added this ring. And this is a connection this set really prefers. So we got here a bigger segment, and now we are going to connect this little segment to this segment via the ring and this stud here. Like this. We have used this technique several times now. It's not very visible because it's somewhere in the inside, but maybe you can see it over here. Another technique we can find quite often in this set is simply to use these brick modifieds here, these bricks with holes, and there we can interlock studs like this. And And yeah, with these kind of techniques, we can build a quite complex structure. Step 94. I have built this segment here, and I have to say the clutch power with these 10 colored 1x1 round plates with handlebar is not good at all. Have a look here. The clutch power is non-existent. And it's also difficult to see where to place these 7 1x1 round plates. So I have placed 4 so far. This means there are 3 left over. 1, 2. Where's the third one? Let me have a look for it. Here is the third one. And yeah, it's simply not so easy to see where to place these things. So when we place our little segment here, I think then we can see it makes sense that between these 1x1 round plates with handlebar, there should always be a gap of 2 plates, I think. You can see next to it we have always placed 2 of these 1x1 flower plates, or whatever you want to call them. And I think that we are supposed to always have the plate with handlebar at the same position where the plate with clip is. So this plate here should be aligned with this clip, this plate here should be aligned with this clip, this plate here should be aligned with this clip. And I think this is only possible when we always put 2 of those round plates between the plates with handlebar. So I can add 1, 2, and third one here. Step 101. Remember those pieces without clutch power? Now in this step, finally something is done against this. So you can see that we get this 1x2 plate with rounded corners or rounded edges, and we place it here like this, and this means that our loose parts are finally held in place. Step 179. In this step we are placing a roof on our build, and I think the building technique for this roof is quite interesting. So you can see that we have these tiles here, and they are connected to each other by these brick modifieds here. And now we want to place this construction here on top of here. And yeah, the roof is held in place by this stud here. You can see here that we got a negative stud on this side. And now we can just place the roof here, and then we have to interlock the stud here on the side. Step 235. We are building the apse right now, and what we did in this step exactly is that we placed this segment over here. You can see it here in the instructions, the one which is encircled in red. And The whole building experience here at the apps is just horrible. As soon as we place this part here, the whole apps explodes because you can see here that we have used these slopes here and there simply isn't enough space for those slopes. One solution is that this segment here is turned a bit to the left, then it doesn't interfere with the other slopes and other segments, but it also means that we got a big gap here. And yeah, to avoid this, I found a solution. You can see that here on the other side, it's the same like here, just mirrored. And that here we have placed a 1x4 brick. This is how it is supposed to be in the instructions. But this brick also means that the angle between these two segments here is more problematic than without the brick. Stupidly, we need this brick, otherwise the segment behind the brick doesn't stay together. And what you can see here is that I removed the brick, and instead of the brick I placed there a 1x4 plate. And thanks to the plate now, the angle between these two segments is less problematic, and so the whole construction isn't put under that much pressure. I think I've been working at this part here now for an hour, and yeah, inserting this segment here was extremely problematic. I think I needed over half an hour, or maybe almost fast 3/4 of an hour to place it here until I found a solution with the plate. I think in the next steps we are going to build another segment which is mirrored to this one, so we can place it on this side. And yeah, before I'm doing this, I will remove this brick here and place the plate there instead. Then the whole thing should be way less problematic. We will see. Step 268. I think it's quite interesting how this little Gothic detail here was created. We do it with the help of these three pieces here. So first of all, we place this this Technic pin axle combination, whatever this is called, to this little bar here, which sits on the end of a 1x1 plate. I think I can't do this without placing the camera, because I need two hands for this. Okay, first of all, we combine these two pieces here like this, and then we can add this little cone here to the axle part like this. And now, with the help of the 1x1 round plate, we can simply interlock the whole thing to this stud here. Step 278. In previous steps, when we had to use bars, they were always marked with their length. I think the set contains bars in 3L and 4L. I don't know which bar I have to use now. I think I'm going to use the longer bar. This seems to fit here quite well. Step 279. We are now supposed to interlock the segment which we have completed in the last step to the rest of our build. And we want to interlock these two plates here on the back, which get 2 studs each, with this brick modified here. You can see that the brick modified got hollow studs, and yeah, it should be no problem to put these 4 studs into those open studs. But this doesn't work because, as you can see, the studs keep to pop off again. Now it should be interlocked, but when I stop pushing, it jumps off again. I will have to find a solution for this. Okay, the solution was quite easy. What I did was simply trying out all these 1x3 plates here, which came with the set, until I found some which didn't pop off. Now I should be able to interlock the segment like this. Oh no, it keeps popping off again, damn it. Okay, I need another solution. Alright, I simply tried more of those 1x3 plates until I did find some which didn't pop off. Step 295. So we have built now the same segment as we have built before, only mirrored, and I interlocked it with this construction here in the middle, and while I did this, the other segment popped off again. But now I'm not going to fix this because I would have to disassemble this whole part here and I simply don't feel like doing this is a good idea. It would cost me too many nerves, so I'm just going to ignore this and I hope it won't be visible in the end. Step 304. I just want to show you how this roof here and this roof, which I'm building right now, which we are also completing in this step, are built, how these roofs are built. So what we need is a tile to which we add this, I don't know how this thing is called. It's a handlebar with a stud on the other side. And then we add this droid arm. And now we connect the other end of the droid arm in the bar which you can see here. I already have placed the first half of the roof, and here you can see quite good how the construction works. It's always easy to place the first half of the roof, but the second half is a bit more complicated because once you have interlocked it with the bar, it might happen that it doesn't align perfectly, but in this case it does. Oh, and by the way, the other segment popped off too. Let's hope that this won't be visible in the end. Step 308. In this step we have added this tower here, and now the gaps of the popped off segments are no longer visible. Step 388. The build is complete. Completing the original church did take many centuries. I think they started in the 13th century and completed the build with the towers in the 18th century. Luckily, it didn't take me that much time to build this model here. It's a bit smaller, but I think we get to see a lot of details. So, let's have a look at the thing. What can we see? This here is the west side. We get to see the west towers and the west entrance. Here is the nave, the north transept with the north entrance, Henry VII's Lady Chapel, and yeah, also here are smaller chapels. Then we got the south transept, and I'm not quite sure what this here is. Normally there should be the chapter house at this position here, and yeah, maybe it looks a bit like this, but then the scale is wrong. It's way bigger than this thing here, and the chapter house also has got some flying buttresses which are missing here. And as said before, the position simply isn't correct for the chapter house. When we have a look at Google Maps, at least at this moment here when recording the video, there strangely we get to see a roof at exactly this position here. We also get to see it at Bing Maps or whatever their maps website is called. And this is so strange. When we have a look at photos, I was going through my old photos when I had been there last time, but also when I'm looking at newer photos in the internet, there we never get to see a building here. I'm not even sure if there is enough space for such a building, because the flying buttresses of the chapter house are in the way. Very strange. Maybe it's some kind of temporary building. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Alright, yeah, as you can see here, the buildings are cut off in the middle. Here is the great cloister, and we can only see half of it. Even we only get to see half of the fountain here in the middle of the cloister. Yeah, here is another building added to the south transept, which you can see here is black because it's cut through. These buildings here are cut. Here the part of the cloister is cut. This here is a courtyard. I think it's the deanery courtyard. It's also cut. Here's another yard which is cut. And yeah, there are way more buildings all attached to this big church here, which are simply cut off because they don't really belong to the church building itself. Also here in the front, the building is cut. I think nowadays you can buy souvenirs here, if I remember correctly. All right. What I think what's missing is the church here, which is next to Westminster Abbey, the St. Margaret's Church. I think it sits here. And yeah, of course, it's an own building which doesn't actually belong to this building, but I don't know, it sits on the same green. I think it would have been nice if we had a model of that church at this position too. But I think otherwise there isn't much to complain. We get to see a lot of details, all these flying buttresses here. This looks quite cool. Yeah, the rose windows can be seen. Here's one of them, here's another one. Of course, we have to know that it's a rose window. It doesn't look exactly like a rose window, but I think it's quite clear that this is supposed to be a rose window. Yeah, and we also get to see a lot of other Gothic ornaments. This is quite cool. And the color of the whole building, I think that's quite accurately done. It's a mixture of tan, dark tan, and white. And yeah, when we have a look at the real building, we can see that it's not just one single color, that the masonry consists of colors of different shades. So I think this is quite well done. As said before, this set shows a lot of details. For example, have a look at this colorful 1x1 round plate here. I think it's supposed to be the clock, which can be seen in the left tower. Even though there are so many details, you shouldn't have too close of a look at the set because of many ugly injection holes. Have a look here at these holes. They are huge. Of course, there are also bricks with quite acceptable injection points, like here or here. That's absolutely okay. But these crater-like holes, well, that's simply not nice to look at. Luckily, those ugly holes are only visible on the studs of the green plates on the completed build. So if you don't want to see those ugly injection holes, simply use green plates, dark green plates by another company. Some of the green plates also have quite acceptable injection points. This is not a hole, it's only a point. But most of the green plates simply are not so nice to look at. The bricks don't have Lego quality, as you could see with a few bricks which had problems with the clutch power. But in the end, it's not too much of a problem because there is enough support by other bricks, and so the problematic bricks are forced into place. I think the bigger problem is that the used building techniques are sometimes a bit too ambitious. Maybe they are only too ambitious for these bricks, but my guess is that they are too ambitious in general. I was not able to build these apses here without a tiny modification of the inner structure. Building the flying buttresses and other ornaments in this tiny scale often is very annoying, but the building techniques used in this set here result in a quite pleasant building experience, at least for these kind of details. In general, the building experience simply wasn't the best due to having to place hundreds and hundreds of 1x1 plates and snot technique. This just is very exhausting. But I think the end result is worthy the trouble. The completed set really looks nice. I cannot recommend the set for beginners, but when you have some experience with sets that use complex snot techniques, then you should give this set a try. Oh, and I want to end this video with a little detail. Have a look here. This black piece here is one of those single studs, those hollow studs. I think this is the only BlueBrixx set that I own which shows a non-standard standard piece in the completed build. Other companies like Lego, for example, don't use this piece. And yeah, normally BlueBrixx only uses those kind of non-standard pieces for the inner structure. I haven't seen one before which is visible once the build is completed.